Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone wherever you may be tuning into today's episode from around the globe. We're here at the 2024 ARA Show in New Orleans, Louisiana, and I'm absolutely pumped and super excited to not only be sitting down with today's guests, but we've had such an amazing schedule over the past couple of days with some icons, legends, and leaders of not only the US rental market, but also having Tom Wood on from Australia as well. So we've had quite a list of guests here at the 2024 show, but today we're actually doing a bit of an off-the-cuff interview with exciting guests that I've been hearing the name and been told the name on many occasions of John Bibbo, both last year at the 2023 show in Orlando and also this year in New Orleans. So I was actually fortunate enough to connect and meet John last night at the American Rental Association's Tuesday night event here at the ARA Show. John being the current president and CEO of Event Source, a 40-year-old standing second-generation family-owned event rental store based across Ohio, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Additionally, Panache Events and So Cool Events based in the beautiful state of Florida across Orlando, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and West Palm Beach. A past American Rental Association president and icon of the United States rental market. John, thank you very much for coming on today, sitting down and having a discussion here in the Rental Journal.
Not sure who you're talking about, icon, but okay. Thank you. Thank you for those words.
Mate, to kick us off, you have a very unique and special origin story on how you first become involved in the equipment rental industry. Obviously, growing up in a family rental store, but you mentioned to me last night that you'd take quarters down to a local payphone and you'd order product, tablecloths and event consumables at the age of 16 during your high school years, selling, like you said, your landscaping business at the time for the cost of exactly $0 to now in 2024 being a $35+ million business. Please, for myself and the audience at home, I'd love to selfishly hear this story again and an overview of your journey in the equipment rental industry.
Yeah, so it started out, my parents started a Taylor rental franchise, which allowed them to get into the rental business with such a small investment of about $10,000 back in 1979. And the opening package consisted of tools, equipment, and some party equipment. And I would work there, I was 8 years old at the time, and I would work there, and everyone was really focused around the lawnmowers, the front end loaders, the bobcats, and really nobody wanted to talk about dishes, tables and chairs and canopies. So, we had, I kind of saw it as an opportunity. I was the owner's son who kind of wanted to come in and be part of the company, but that didn't really go over so well with some of the people that have been there from day one as I was growing up. So I took that as an opportunity to branch out in an area where really was underserved from our business standpoint, and that was the party end of the business. So once the franchise started to promote the party section, we were building a new building, gave us an opportunity to have a separate showroom for our party supplies, and I was turning 16, had a full-fledged landscaping business with about 30 customers, and like I said, I sold it to my brothers for $0, so they took that over, and that kind of gave me the opportunity. I got a pickup truck, and I would go to school, usually either went late or early dismissal type of situation. Would put 5 or 6 of my best friends in the back of the pickup truck, and we'd go and we'd either put up tents, clean chairs, wash dishes, whatever it took. But the time that I was in school, if I'd have a lunch break or a study hall, that roll of quarters came in handy because it would be calling customers, figuring out deliveries for that day, and that was kind of the thing. So I was always working pretty much 24/7, as it still seemed to do today, it seems like. But that's kind of how it started. Hired my first salesperson at 16, and 37 years later, she's still in the industry. Unfortunately, not working for us, but it just goes to the testament of once you're in the industry, you get bit by the industry bug, and you're in it for life, and that's kind of my deal too. So
absolutely, John. Today in 2024, obviously yourself still being the current CEO of Event Source, be great to give us an overview of your role today, the main individuals in your, I'm sure, amazing leadership team that you have across the country now. And do you still have family members in the business?
We do. I have 2 brothers that are in the business, and then Mom and Dad are retired, but definitely give us some guidance from time to time as where things, sounding board more than anything of when I have some tough challenges ahead of me that I need to kind of just run some things past just to give me the gut check of making the right moves, and they're good for that. So, but yeah, right now I'm the visionary of the company. We follow the EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System, is a great book, Traction, that we began about 2 years ago, and it's really helped me to focus on the growth of the company. So I am the visionary in that role, where I come up with all of the hopefully great ideas, and we have an integrator, and then our management team kind of sorts through some of those things, and we just try to develop and become bigger and grow every opportunity we can.
So John, we've obviously mentioned your unique origin story of entering the rental industry, but take me back in time to 1997. Obviously your family had already been involved in the equipment rental industry from a young age, and close to 20 years with, like you said, the Taylor Rental business, purchasing the Taylor Rental General Equipment Rental Store in 1979, with the main product line consisting of, on your website, saying everything from power tools to exercise bikes. Right. But in the late 90s, the origin story of Event Source was created. Sure. What did the company look like in the early days, the initial products and services, the customer base, and how have you evolved this now going into 2024 with Event Source?
Yeah, so when we as we developed the Taylor Rental franchise, we would go to the annual convention, and we were the largest one out of about 300 companies, or out of 300 stores. Every year we'd go, we'd hit we were one of the first ones to hit the gold award, which is the $1 million, and then a location, and then they had to create a platinum level because we hit the $2 million mark. And it was just, it was different. Most of those franchises weren't at that level, and it was just a different way of approaching how we did things. We would, most companies would kind of hold on to equipment forever and ever, and we approach it differently. We always sold our products, so we always had new product in line. So it kind of just gave us a competitive edge, as we felt, and it was always an opportunity to have brand new equipment available for rent. It was always, we weren't always replacing, we were always replacing it rather than trying to fix something that was old, and it was always the latest technology. And that really just propelled us into, to growing. When we kind of changed the name to, at that time, EquipSource and Event Source, just kind of put us on a different setting, and put us on a different stage. We grew, and then in 1999, the consolidation of our industry happened, and we took that opportunity to, we sold our company, the tool company, to United Rental, and kind of gave us an opportunity to rethink, where we wanted to go. And I was still very eager to grow the party end of the business, and that was pretty important for me. So, we at that point took a look at a new facility for party, and went around to about 100 stores at that time, just to see what other party rental companies were doing throughout the country, and came up with what we thought was a great plan for a design of the workflow for what we do, and put the building up in 2001, and of course overbuilt the building. So we then said, well, what's our next plan? And our next plan was really, ultimately, it was to expand. So we moved 2 hours south with a design center, which is Columbus, Ohio, the capital of our state. And we used the Cleveland location as the hub, and then the spoke of Columbus. And then as we developed that transition, that was really the roadmap for further expansion. So we then moved to Detroit, Michigan, which is 3 hours to the west, and Pittsburgh, which is 2 hours to the east of us. So we now have a true hub and spoke through the Midwest, where we can service it all from the hub and spoke, and that's really the growth plan. And then in 2017, we thought that we had that pretty well honed in, and we kind of took a lot of years to develop that. We thought that it would be a great opportunity to take that model and take it down to an alternate season business in the Florida market. So that's kind of where the hub there is, in Pompano Beach, which is outside of Fort Lauderdale. And we can service Miami, Orlando, Naples, and Tampa from the Fort Lauderdale market. So and West Palm Beach as well. So again, just two hubs that really have jettisoned our growth to where it is today, and it's been exciting. There's a lot of challenges to that operation, but I've got a great team behind us to do it. It's not me, obviously, but a lot of experience, people that have been with us for a really long time that know rental and just battle it every day.
So you very much implemented that same hub and spoke technique from obviously up in the Northeast down into Miami.
Yep, and it's been really good. It continues to work for us.
So John, from our chats and quick time together when with Mr. Scott Irwin last night, we discussed the immense growth that you've achieved and also maintained over the past 4 decades, excelling across the nation now in the US events market like we've mentioned. Many acquisitions being in Florida, basing your companies in Panache Rentals in 2017 and So Cool Events in 2022. Run me through these exciting acquisitions that you guys have had and how this is really tied into the Event Source family.
Sure. So the Panache, some of these acquisitions are just because of where businesses are in their life cycle. The Panache operation was part of 31 locations for the Classic Party Rental. So they were all 31 different individual locations that was all rolled up into Classic Party Rental about 16 years earlier. And they had a couple different investment groups throughout the 16 years that existed. And they were actually divesting all of them. And that was the last one of them. So it was kind of a fix-me-up type of a situation, but we went into it knowing it was going to be a lot of hard work and a kind of a fix-me-up model. But we've been in that position before, with just trying to build a business from the ground up, and that's really where we thought it was going to have to be, and that's what we did. And we went into it. The equipment was old, beat up, and we needed to replace everything. So it was almost like a start over, but we felt that there was enough of a base there with a customer list and maybe a tarnished name at once, but we had the strength and the ability to show what we've done up north that hopefully that would transfer down into the south, and we think it did pretty well. Still kept the name, but kind of pushed the Event Source image and colors and the likeness with the website into that, and so we've turned that around. And then with the So Cool piece of it. We worked with that team for 3 or 4 years after we purchased Panache, and it worked so well together. And it kind of they were at the point where they were ready to step down. Obviously COVID kind of helped that along there for them. They were nearing retirement. They also had a big hurdle to come back and rehire everybody, but it was a great little business. Did a lot of golf tournaments with furniture. We always rented furniture, but it kind of gave us a little bit of a boost in that market. So it was great for us to add and develop. We're not in the tent business, but now we're kind of more into the furniture business. So it's an offshoot, more or less, is how we look at it. But it's just a different arm that has been very good for us, and it's exciting because it's kind of like the fashion part of the industry. It's couches and bars and just different types of furniture that are just kind of cool to have to deal with. So it's fun.
So obviously you're mentioning that more furniture approach over the conventional tents and things like that. Run us through your current product lineup, the customer base that you usually work with, and the events that you focused on.
Sure. So we're basically a tabletop company. So we do linens, glassware, china, flatware, cooking, catering equipment, dance floors, and we focus. The Event Source and Panache is the commercial caterer, off-premise caterer. So caterer will come to or go to an event, and we'll bring everything to it, from tables, chairs, linens, and dishes. That's kind of one segment we deal with. Obviously you've got the hotels, the convention centers. We do a lot with universities for commencement ceremonies. We do with the acquisition of So Cool. It's definitely gotten us into golf tournaments. So the Rocket Mortgage Classic, Valspar Invitational. There's what used to be called the Honda Classic, just big time PGA type stuff that requires truckloads of couches and furniture that would be for the VIP lounges that are out there. So that's kind of just a whole different level of the F1 Formula One race in Miami has been it's a big customer of ours where we supply those things. So those are weeks and weeks of load-ins and load-outs of equipment and just tons of equipment. So it's a whole new opportunity for us, but it's very exciting.
Sure. John, your 4 pillars at Event Source are discover, design, deliver, and delight. And from what I can see, with a massive emphasis on your team, with the tagline, proven premium rental products for any event with world-class service. What does this mean for Event Source, and how do you tie this approach into your company when building your team?
Yeah, so that's kind of like the groundwork for everything that we do, and I just think that that's the selling process there, and I think it really comes back from what I learned from my parents. Is obviously the premium quality equipment. It's turning it over. It's not taking that table and varnishing it every winter and keeping it and sanding it down. It's kind of replacing it. There's a market for those types of things, and it's just coming back with new equipment. When we bring customers through the warehouse and tours, people first of all are amazed by the depth of the inventory. There's just so much of it, and really the shape that it comes in. Because just like when you pull your truck up, you don't want to pull your truck up on the customer's driveway and drop oil stains on their driveway. You want it to, obviously our industry kind of has that tarnished look where you pull up and the muffler's hung on with a coat hanger or something like that. So everything's about image. So it's not only our equipment, our uniforms, but even the equipment you use. There's talk to customers. I talk to a lot of customers, but sometimes they have to order. They need 100 napkins. They got to order 150 napkins because they don't know what they're going to get. So it's like, and when you come to us, we want to make sure that if you need 100 napkins, you're going to get 100 that are usable. So those are the types of things that we expect, and we tell all of our people when they're coming to work for us that these are the expectations. And if you're it's not me that makes those decisions. It's you on the front line, and all of that information and that process, the proven process, is really entrenched in everyone, so they all understand every step of the way. That's important to me as the owner and as every manager and every employee, so that we can continue that and into the person that's washing the dish, so that the salesperson and the customer can all experience every aspect of that. So.
John, what was your introduction, obviously, to the family rental business, being around it from a young age and getting a new sideline for the business at the age of 16? I'm sure you were pulled along to the store when you were young on early mornings, setting up events at the age of 16, loading trucks, going to job sites. And like we said, the equipment rental and events rental industry, when in a family business, is very much a lot of slave labor involved, which we've both experienced.
Yeah, I've never really looked at it that way. I mean, it was always something that I was young, and I kind of look at it at my kids now. I would get up in the morning on Saturday morning, and I'd get up really early, and I'd turn on cartoons on the TV, and I'd end up falling asleep back on the couch because I was up so early, and my dad would sneak out of the house because he really wanted me to stay home on Saturday and play with my friends or whatever. And I'd get up, and I'd cry because he left without me, and it was like, so whatever it was an early drive to do that. And I see that in one of my children now, that he does that when I don't take him off. They have a snow day and I don't take him to work, and it's like it's just something that was in me, and I think that just like the trade shows that we would go to, I was always in the front row, listening and learning and soaking up all the information from every seminar. It's just something that I did. I was never forced to do it. I go back to the landscaping business. I'm kind of big into marketing, and my landscaping business, the colors were red, and everything was red, and it was because my bedroom carpeting was red. So my trailer, my truck was red. So just like I just had this innate ability to want to. And I think it's probably because my dad was in the business, and the franchise that he bought into was so into image and uniforms and things like that, and it just kind of like carried over. I mean, I was just always involved in just watched him and how he developed it, and it just got bit by a very young, early age.
No, amazing, John. I want to circle back quickly. The year's 2020. I know that I'm sure mentioning to event people that word or that year is kind of like swearing at them, but it was a very formative year for many people in the equipment rental industry, and I'm sure especially in the events industry. I actually sat down with the CEO of CES Power on Monday. CES actually hosted myself, my International Rental Business Leadership Exchange program. With CES being focused on the live event market, it was such difficult times here in the US for the events industry. But with the infamous COVID-19, record numbers of cases, the whole world shutting down and coming to basically a dead stop, the entire events industry being closed, unsure of when it would return to normal or even return at all. How did you navigate and lead the company during these times? Run me through the personal emotions you faced, losing your customer base in the industry that you're focused on.
That was tough. I got the call the day before Thanksgiving. We'll start back, I guess, a little bit further than that. Obviously closed down, did the layoffs. We were at a trade show. I was still on the board of ARA at Con Expo, and the party, part of the segment had a show in Las Vegas at the same time. And, on Monday we met as a group, and people were talking about this closure, and nobody knew what had happened. And by Tuesday, people were like, what's going on? We're hearing more about it. And on Wednesday, like, oh my gosh, people are changing their flights. We're not really sure what's happening. But by Friday, we went home and laid off 180 people. At that time, we didn't know what was going on. We were all told that it was going to be, 6 weeks, whatever. I think the most controversial piece of that, is, looking back on it, was what did we do? And there were companies in our industry that took the top tier management of the company and laid off the top tier. Obviously, that's probably the smartest thing to do when you didn't have any money coming in. We kind of did the exact opposite. Because we thought it would be coming back quickly, that we kept all of the top players, and we kind of, they were the highly compensated people, because when it came back, if we had to rehire people, we needed to hit the ground running, was my thought. And then we did that. Kind of, it wasn't the best situation from a financial standpoint, but, we felt that if it got turned on with the flip of a switch, we needed to come back strong. So we did that. Obviously no one knew that 9 months later we would still be in this position. And the call came in day before Thanksgiving that we got the 6 months off from any of the payments in the banks, and the bank came in and said, hey, we've pushed you off this long, and we don't see your industry coming back anytime soon. And all of your loans are being called, and you've got 2 weeks to pay us back. And it was a very difficult time for us. So we kind of got some extensions and kind of pulled a lot of things out of my hat, and had a very good friend and actually customer kind of come to help us out there in the end, for the last tail end of that, to basically save the company, and just kind of get us through what we needed to get through, and really carried us through what was, the craziness of that whole thing. And what really got us out, we in Cleveland were hosting the NFL, National Football League's draft for the upcoming season, and it was in Cleveland, so it was a rather large job for us. And we really didn't know what to expect, because it was outside. People were invited for the first time to an event, and it was like people are going to wear masks, the whole thing. I watched it on TV. I didn't even go, because we were still uneasy about what's going to happen. On TV, there's thousands of people there, no masks, and it's like, holy cow, this is earth-shattering, because if those people all don't get sick and they're packed into a space that close, I think we're onto something. And sure enough, 3 or 4 weeks go by and everyone was fine. That is when we came out of it. And, obviously it was a long period in between that from start to that event, but that was what kicked us off and got us back. And then we were drinking from the fire hose after that because it was, at least in our market in Cleveland, we were back and we were doing events that, we were catching up from almost a year and a half of nothing. So it was an intense time, but it was. What do you do if you lose 95% of your business? For 6 months. I mean, there's no hope. There's nothing you can do about it. And we pivoted. We were doing Uber freight. We were trying to wash other people's laundry. We were trying everything, and it was just, when you're of a certain size and you've got certain overhead, it's difficult. It is definitely difficult. So. But managed to hold it together, and like I said, pull some things together. We exited out of some leases. I'll tell you, some of our landlords really helped us get through that process. We were able to get out of some leases. The support that we had from our vendors was also, a key component of our survival as well. They understood.
Yeah, it was such a crazy time for all of us, but especially from what we saw even back in Australia, event companies, the struggle and the layoffs and everything that was associated with those times. And it is, not a fun time, and great to see that these events are coming back even probably stronger than ever now, but obviously still not a good time to experience it all. What are the biggest issues and challenges that you might be personally facing now in the events industry in 2024, or from your massive network of connections around the country, from your work with the ARA? What are the biggest issues that event companies are facing here in the US?
I think still there is somewhat of a labor issue. For our particular company, I think we tend to have not so much of an issue with that, only because we have the competing seasonality of the company, so we're able to shift people around a little bit more. But that is still, it's still an issue. I mean, it always will be an issue. We first had to deal with the people that were given money to basically survive. When the money was there, no one wanted to work. So that was the first issue. And that lasted really a lot longer than we thought it was going to. I mean, the money stopped, but people really didn't want to come back to work. And then, then the work from home thing kind of messed us up a little bit from the availability of work. Not us, but just, our industry. People really kind of pivoted and didn't want to come back because they had opportunities to work from home. So, I think it's been challenging. I mean, just the work environment, people have new ways to find income sources. And, we just finished the workforce development thing this morning, and, there were, I don't know, there's probably 1,000 kids down there. I don't know, it seems like a lot of them. And, and that's really where our industry has to go, is has to take those high school kids and introduce them to rental and bring them into understanding what rental is at an early age, so that we have that pipeline of people. And our association is really doing great things. I've never sat through that before, but today I did, and man, it was very promising that we're, as an association, doing that at the grassroots level. Because if you can get 1,000 people in a room, and even if it's 10 people that will end up in our industry, they'll go out and tell 10 of their friends of what an awesome job they have. Sure. It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Obviously mentioning the association with the ARA, today being the Wednesday and the last day of this year's show, I'd love to get a recap of your personal 2024 ARA Show experience, the exciting moments and the main takeaways that you've had here in New Orleans.
So I don't know, I've been coming to these shows for a long time, and it's like a homecoming for me. You see people that you sometimes only see once a year. It's a great opportunity for networking. we just a little bit of making new friendships, a little bit of intelligence, business intelligence, as I like to call it, and see who's making moves in your markets and what's happening. And but it's it's great to see new products. If you're not necessarily buying things here at the show, you can kind of just see what's going on and where product development goes. But I was just telling one of our managers that it's like you can walk up and down the aisle and see it and walk it several times, and that's great. You've seen everything, but you really have to go and you really have to stop and look, because I'm one of the guys that walked down every aisle 3 times on Monday, and one of our people says, "You got to go visit this booth," and I passed it literally 3 times on Monday. And when you start and you actually interact with them, like, how did I pass it 3 times and not see what they were offering? Because what they were offering was a new way to do a Shivari chair, and it's like, which has been a mainstay for our industry for 40 years. But they have a new approach to it, a new way to, and it solves a problem. But like, I didn't stop. I saw the Shivari chairs, like, oh, it's like 30 other vendors that are selling the same thing. But when you start talking to them and you like hear what their spiel is, it's like, that's what we're here for, not to walk past it 3 times. So it's that's what you got to do when you're here. You got to like dig in deep and you got to really work. It's not just walk up and down the aisles. And so we'll take that to the next level next year. I know that for sure. But just the networking, obviously meeting you yesterday at the event, and you never know who you come across, and that's why you always go to those events and why you always interact and try to be at every function that they have, whether it's the auction for the foundation. I met people there. You kind of did the tour today. Meeting new vendors, it's just every interaction is a point that somewhere down the line you can make the contact and hopefully help you out in your business.
Sure, John, you've had quite the journey and resume of positions over the past couple of years with the American Rental Association, from presidency to advisory groups representing the party events and wedding rental segments for the industry on the ARA Board of Directors. Where did this journey start with the ARA?
So it started a long time ago. And when you're young and you're in this industry, just like when you go to when I was young and I went to the Taylor rental shows, you'd always see these people up on stage. They were always up in suits and they were always so professional. And I looked up to them. I was a young person, 16, 17, 18 years old. And they were to me like, when I was a kid and you look up to the baseball players on the baseball field, you're like, oh, those are my idols. Well, for whatever reason, these people on stage were always my idols. So when I come to ARA, you could talk about the Johnny Crabs, the Charlie Neffleys, all the presidents that were back when I was a young guy, and I always looked up to those guys. And they're obviously in the same business that we were. And when you have the opportunity to interact with those people and get to learn from them because of their affiliation with the association, I've become very good friends with those people. Now they're all retired now, but when I learned from them because they were in leadership roles with ARA, and now that I've done this and I'm now their age, well, when they were in that place, I'm fortunate to be in a position where I can take the time to give back, and that's how I learned from those people. And I want to develop the next group of people to, is it a self-satisfaction thing? Sure, but it's also to ensure that I help develop the next leaders for ARA to ensure that ARA does continue, because that's important for me, because it's got to be there. The organization's got to be there. Hopefully during my time, I hopefully did the right things for the association to extend it and carry it on, and hopefully that's the case. I mean, time will tell, right? But we had some challenging times as I was a leader in ARA during COVID, but I think we weathered the storm pretty good from the ARA standpoint. But hopefully we can find new people that saw what I did and would be interested in ARA and lead the association into the future.
John, what impact has your involvement with the American Rental Association played on your personal development, your network with other event companies around the nation and within the industry, and the business growth of EventSource ultimately?
Yeah, so I think, it's not that I was looking for this, but I mean, obviously, being on that stage definitely opens up your group of people that now all of a sudden know who you are, right? It was, a lot of people in the industry, obviously, but the year that I was president, everybody knows who you are because you're on the cover of the magazine. And it's like, people would say, well, who's that? Well, I don't know. I've never met them before, but they're saying hi to you, shaking your hand. So it is interesting. You kind of become a little bit of a celebrity for a year or two, but so that's interesting. But I think there were a lot of initiatives that the association had. Ones that, from my perspective, we were trying to do a lot of workforce development, a lot of the learning management system, the LMS, education was one of the initiatives we were working on when I was there, which is definitely further along, much further along than I ever thought it would be. The tenting, stake, all of that training. There's just so many things that have just developed, and they were kind of at the grassroots level. That I was just sitting next to Tony Conan, our CEO, and it's just like, I'm so amazed that so many things were in its infancy when I was there, and how they developed. It's really good to see it because I've been gone for about 3 years out of it, and it's just really good that they didn't die on the vine because our team left, and it's just ARA's in a great position right now, and so hopefully that people see it that way. But I saw it early on, and even this Born for This is their new campaign. I was in on the very early concepts of that, and to see it come to life was absolutely amazing. I mean, I told Tony, I says, I knew about it, but to see the video of that, I used to always make tents in my, as I was growing up as a kid, in my front family room, and then my kids would do that now, and to see that, go on and to see the video where they're actually setting up tents, and that's what I did, and it was just so touching that wow, that's like, I was born for this, and it hit right here during the General Assembly. But it's just so good to see your work that you put so much time into it to come to fruition. So
I actually had a quick chat last night to the CEO of our rental association back home in Australia, James Oxingham, and he said that you unfortunately couldn't make the maiden ARA chair voyage over to Australia for our ARA Show due to the COVID lockdowns in Australia. But what's the best place the rental industry or the events industry has taken you over the years, and what's a standout event that you've worked on?
Well, I would say that unfortunately we couldn't go to Australia. So what we ended up doing was one of the other presidents, Dan Hooks, and we ended up going our trip as presidents. We went to England for there's a tent show over there that we went to, and that was the first time overseas for me. So that was very very fun. We learned a lot, and I was always told that some of the things that we see there always took a couple of years to come over to the States. So there's a few things that we're starting to see now because it's been a couple of years. But so you kind of see some concepts, and it was a very enlightening opportunity to go see that kind of stuff. Fortunately, didn't get to go to Australia, but it's someday we'll get there. But I think from a standpoint of like where my officership took me, I think just being able to see stores throughout the country and Canada, there's just so many great people in our industry, hardworking people. There's just countless amount of opportunities that we were involved with, for sure.
John, after 40 years in business, what keeps you personally motivated to keep pushing for business success? And what areas do you have your team working towards? And what are the biggest areas for growth from your perspective for the events market in the US?
Yeah, what keeps us going? Well, I think I like the fashion piece of it, where it's something new and exciting, and you get the new glass or the new linen or the new flatware piece. It's just it's exciting for me to find those new items. We have been doing a couple of different trade shows that bring us new equipment that's really not seen in the markets that we serve. We obviously, automation is really big for us on our team, so we're trying to take a lot of our processes and either try to time study to see how long they take, so we can have some standards in our processes, and then if there's any types of things that we can help automate it, whether it's a wrapping machine or conveyors or anything that kind of help take the labor or the processes out of them. We just added a folder on the back of our ironer with a camera system, so it'll pick out any spots or any tears in the linens. It'll fold it up, and then helps speed that process up quite a bit. So we're into a lot of that. And then I think that as far as the acquisition piece, there's a life cycle of a business, and there are many opportunities out there currently that people are coming to the end of their their work life, and they want to be able to retire, slow down, work less, and I think any time there's an opportunity in any of the markets that we serve, that if they're a good fit for us, where we can add on to an existing market and it makes sense, the situation has to be right for us. I mean, it has to be a good fit. There has to be a good chemistry between the companies, and we'll look at every opportunity, but always open for a discussion.
John, who have been some of the main contributors to the success of EventSource over the years, and some main mentoring figures that have impacted your life, have helped shape you, individuals that have very much influenced your personal success?
Yeah, so there's lots of people. Our COO, Jeremy Halaska, is been with us for 25 years. He's obviously, we've helped each other along the way. Obviously, he helps me, I help him. My brothers are very involved in the business. My parents have been very involved as well. We have, I have a business analysis group that is 11 members that have been meeting for, almost 25 years. They're industry, we'll call them legends, I guess you can call them, that have been around just about as long as I have been. And those, we meet twice a year, many phone calls in between. It's part of we call it the CBAG, Special Event Business Analysis Group. Those people really, again, doing it a long time. They help form a lot of, I think there's 6 former ARA presidents in that group at one point. So again, going back to the ARA, but they just help develop everything that I've ever done. There's been CPAs, attorneys all along the way, but there's a lot of people that helped make me who I am today, and hopefully I'm not leaving anybody out.
So John, what's the best piece of advice that you would like to give your younger self? Maybe that 16-year-old John with the roll of dimes going to the payphone. What's that advice that you'd give to maybe yourself or someone listening in home that is new to our industry that could take on?
Yeah, so I think just asked this question not too long ago, and I think when I look back at it, don't be afraid to take chances. You get kind of set in your ways a little bit on success, and you could be successful. I'll tell it, my grandfather was kind of in the rental business as well, and he rented trailers, so he was successful in his day. His son took it over and built the business and took it a lot further. He was much more successful than my grandfather. My dad started the rental business and he was successful. I took it over and became successful. I don't know if there's a third generation in our faction of rental, but I think in over my 30-some years of doing this, there's been lag times in between that where, we were growing, maybe become complacent, and I just maybe didn't push hard enough. And just because things are good, why push any harder? Do you need to? And I would just say, just keep pushing hard forever until you can't go anymore. Because if I would have pushed harder at 16, or maybe when I was 25, because I really didn't have from 16 to 25, I was working hard, but then at 25, I think I finally took a break and grew up, or had my time to, yeah, kind of had my time to do the things that 18-year-old kids did, but at 25, so that's dangerous. I would never do that again. But if I really would have pushed a lot harder then, where would we be today? I don't know. But always push, always keep pushing.
John, here on the Rental Journal, we always finish with the question of how do you define success personally, taking over the events world and over the events world here in the United States, and how has this developed during your amazing career?
Well, this is kind of, people think I'm crazy when I say this, but for me, success has always been, there's so many people that work in the business and nobody really works on the business. And really a defining moment for me was when I can I can say that we did a job, and whether it's $100,000 or $300,000, and it takes no interaction of me to be involved in that, from pricing to writing it up to delivering it, and we can go and do it, and it gets done. In our industry, that I don't think is normal, and it's kind of crazy for me. Maybe that's too small of a thing, but I think that so many of us in our industry have to be involved in every aspect of that job because it's so big and so detailed. I know enough to be dangerous, but to be hands off and not be involved in the day-to-day piece of that, to me, is success from a CEO level. So,
John, thank you for your time today. It was lovely meeting you yesterday as well and last night. Hopefully we can stay in touch for many years to come, and thank you very much for coming on the Rental Journal.
All right, thank you.